It's absolutely embezzlement. So we can prove this, by the way, and I have people who've seen it happen. Okay. But I think that when you look at that and you go, okay, well, this is where the center of power is. The center of power is not in Congress, and it's not in the White House, and it's not in the legal constitutional government or the main part of the Pentagon or agency. It's in this group, and it's amassed so much power and wealth and technology that it is, and I'll be blunt, a threat to all life on Earth. It's a threat. It's way greater threat than China or Iran or Russia. Ever. And I think people have to take this, what I just said, very seriously, because all these other skirmishes, even if there were a couple nukes detonated, is nothing compared to the risk this group poses, given the technologies they possess and the intention to use it in a malevolent way, where they could stampede the whole world onto a trajectory that would be, an Armageddon scenario. So unfortunately, these people are serious about it. They're whacked out, in my opinion. One of the knock I recently met with, he says, yeah, well, even in this world, and he's been in this super black, dark world, and very high up, relatively high up, mid-level anyway. And he said the way, for the folks who are these really super rogue operators, they're recruited for being sociopaths or psychopaths. Now, he says, I was recruited because I was willing to kill on behalf of the country or what's right, but not being a sociopath, to do it for the good, if you're going to use lethal force or any technology. These folks running these projects are a subset of people who are screened who are, in fact, sociopaths and psychopaths. And I'm using this clinically as a doctor. There's 4.5% of the U.S. population are sociopaths and psychopaths. So, and the ones that are high functioning are identified and moved over into these rogue operations.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Smart. Mm-hmm. Extremely smart.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break.
Sure.
And then we're going to get into the Disclosure Project. I don't know if I've ever been this excited to represent a brand. I'm talking about First Form. I just align so well with what they've got. First Form is a supplement company. They have just about every supplement you can possibly imagine, all grade A stuff. Let's go through some of the stuff that, some of my favorites, all right? Here we go. 1, Enduro Performance. This is a non-stimulant pre-workout mix. Guess what? Made in the USA. Protein sticks and the protein bar. Look, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm super busy. I don't have time to go to lunch. In fact, I don't even know what a lunch break is. This is my lunch for the most part. Then we got OptaReds 50. Guess what? Also made in the USA. So is the protein bar and the beef sticks, actually. But OptaReds 50, guess what, guys? Beets, super healthy for you. Guess what? They taste like shit. This doesn't. 2 scoops, throw it in there. You get all the benefits of having beets with OptaReds 50. Then we've got protein. Everybody needs protein. If you're not taking protein, you should be, especially if you work out. My favorite, chocolate banana. Guys, let me tell you something else about First Form. The owner, CEO, Andy Frisella, guy has made a phenomenal company. True American dream story. Started from absolutely nothing, sleeping on a mattress in the back room of a very small shop. Now, he's built an empire. Check it out. Go to firstform.com/SRS. He's also put a culture into his company that this entire country could use right now. Gave me a ton of inspiration. I used to listen to his podcast, Real as Fuck, when I was building my first studio in the attic of my house 3.5 years ago, right when this show started. Can you believe that? Now I'm repping the brand. And if you haven't checked out their podcast, you might want to. Like I said, Real as Fuck. Check it out. I'm actually on there. I do a pretty decent job, but let me know what you think. Anyways, once again, go to firstform.com/SRS. And when you get there, if you order $75 or more worth of product, guess what? You're getting free shipping. But you're only getting that if you go to firstform.com/SRS. That's 1STPHORM/SRS. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a real American company that aligns with all the values that America stands for. Check them out. I want to tell you all about this new meat delivery service I found called Moink. What I really like about Moink is they are from a small, rural farm town in Missouri, LaBelle, Missouri, right by where I grew up, and I love supporting small town business USA. Now, when I started looking into Moink, they educated me on the meat industry, and I want to share with you all a couple of facts, according to Moink magazine. 60% of all pork is produced by one company in the U.S., and that is 100% owned by the Chinese. 4 companies control over 80% of the meat industry in the United States. More than 10,000 different additives are allowed in the U.S. food supply. 99% of chicken, 95% of hogs, 78% of cattle in the U.S. are raised in confinement buildings or feedlots. That means they're not moving around freely. 80% of the antibiotics consumed in the U.S. are fed to animals. Here's a stat. In 2016, 18.4 million pounds of antibiotics were sold for livestock. And that's what you're eating. Suicide rates amongst farmers are the highest than any other profession, and that includes veterans, believe it or not. I found that alarming. Now, here's what Moink is doing to combat some of this stuff, which I really appreciate. Their livestock is 100% born and raised and harvested humanely in the United States of America. Their farms practice regenerative agricultural methods. They are free of GMOs, antibiotics, and all hormones. Their Alaska salmon is wild caught. Their beef and lamb are grass-fed and grass-finished. Their boxes ship from rural America, right in small-town Missouri. Love it. Their chicken and pork are pasture-raised. So, guys, check them out. Moink. Keep America farming going by signing up at moinkbox.com/SRS. Right now, listeners on this show get free bacon in your first box. It will be the best bacon you will ever taste, but it's only for a limited time. It's spelled Moink, MOINK, box.com/SRS. That's moinkbox.com/SRS. All right, Dr. Greer, we're back from the break. I forgot to give you a gift. Every time, the last time I forgot to do this too.
It's okay.
We just get to go. We get to go, and I get fascinated.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, a gift bag for winning the contest for the whatever it is I've done. Thank you.
You're welcome. So those in there, they got the Vigilance Elite gummy bears.
Oh, good.
Legal in all 50 states, believe it or not. And I got your hat too. But
thank you.
Let's move on. So.
Oh, good. You're going to disguise me up now.
So, I got a question from a friend of mine. I tried to connect you guys. I don't know if you guys connected or not, but my friend Chris Beck. And he just said an idea to run by you. Does this theory line up with UFO sightings? And then the question is it easier to see UFOs in grays in early hours, 1 hour before sunrise to an hour after sunrise? The ultraviolet of the sun is highest in these hours. To see reppies is hour before and hour after sunset because infrared is highest in these hours?
Well, actually, it really depends on what modality they're operating in. So what that means is an interstellar vehicle. Now, let's distinguish between the ones that we have versus the ones that are interstellar. They can phase in and out of this, say, 3D instantaneously. So you could have one right over your building right here. No sensor would pick it up because it's actually shifted, the frequency of it, out of linear space-time. So this is what I call trans-dimensional physics. And then in an instant, nanosecond, it could be 3D, or it could be something in between. So it's a little bit, if you've ever had a rheostat for a dimmer switch or something, you can make it brighter, dimmer, turn it all the way off. So those technologies allow for an object to be fully in 3D or shifted dimensionally, literally, out into another dimension and back. Now, these are not interdimensional, they're more transdimensional because their origins are another star system. There are also interdimensional objects, and those are things from another dimension that is not from the material cosmos, but they can be confused with some of the extraterrestrial phenomena. It's a very complex thing. So in terms of seeing these objects, I think people, when it's not super bright, with the sun, you're going to see more an object that's going to be silhouetted than in bright sunlight.
Okay.
And the other issue, I think, is that the ones that we have can also operate in a way where they are substantially have an electromagnetic field around them that can kind of cloak them, but under certain lighting conditions and radiation, let's call it infrared, ultraviolet, it depends on the condition, you can get a glimpse of them as they're moving. So I think that this gets into understanding the underlying technology and physics of how these objects work. And that's why when we're doing our expeditions where we're going out, making contact and looking, we have a whole set of protocols, and I train people on what to look for, what the phenomenon might be. If you're having cameras, whether it's settings, I don't do camera work. Full disclosure, I'm an idiot with cameras. But so that you have it set properly, and also know what to look for. But I think that the technology determines more than the time of day. But the time of day might facilitate. That's why I think when it's still light, but it's not bright light, and that spectrum, you'll see an object more easily.
Okay.
But I think it has to do with, I don't think it has to do with the actual innate occurrence. I think it has to do with
what we can see.
What we can see with these things.
Okay.
Are ours.
That makes a lot of sense.